What's going on right now? These, again, the final hours. So you've got Democrat Mikey Sherrill's campaign rally in New Jersey. That's live, along with fellow Democrat Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. She and Spanberger are both running for governor in those two states. And then, of course, there's Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist candidate for New York mayor. Seems to be comfortably ahead, according to multiple polls. Now, the three candidates are trying to pull out a rare sweep of three races that the whole country is watching. Now, here's just some context for this. Harry Ensign pointed this out. I think it's interesting. He said that just 5 times in the past 90 years, only 5 times, have those three races all gone blue. Okay, now, the last one was in 2017, which is obviously not that long ago, but still, you're only looking at 5 times in nearly a century. And each and every time that it happened, the Democrats then went on to win control of the House the following year in the crucial midterm elections. And that is part of the reason this is all so crucial. So here's how those three candidates tonight are trying to get it over the finish line.
I plan on ensuring that we don't just win tomorrow, but that we crush it tomorrow. New Jersey's not a red state. We're not a red state. New Jersey is not a purple state. New Jersey is a...
Let us leave everything out there on the field, my friends. Let us do it together. Let us work so hard this evening and tomorrow that we never have to ask ourselves the question, what if?
That enthusiasm coming as poll after poll shows that Trump, so right, he's not technically on the ticket here, but of course, in a sense, it is all about him. He is facing major headwinds with voters. The brand new CNN poll shows 63% of all voters, that's about 2 out of 3, obviously, disapprove of Trump right now. That is higher than January 2021, which was the height of his unpopularity when he was getting ready to leave office. And of course, that was right after January 6th. So just think about that. Even more troubling for Trump, his approval with independents, right? That's central, biggest group in some senses, is down to 28%. That is the lowest of this term. And talk about a plunge. It's 15 percentage points lower than right after he took office. And then there's this, the economy. More than 70% of voters say the economy is in poor shape, as even the Treasury Secretary says. Areas could be in recession. And that number of voters concerned has barely moved at all since Trump took office. And that new CNN poll that I just shared is not alone. Everything seems to be converging on this issue. ABC, NBC, Quinnipiac, Washington Post, they all show Trump underwater with voters right now, which is why Democrats are trying to tie their opponents to Trump, right, to put him on the ballot and his government's dysfunction whenever they can.
He's given Trump an A. He said there's nothing he disagrees with him on it.
Andrew Cuomo is Donald Trump's puppet in this race.
Amid the recklessness and the heartlessness coming out of Washington, Virginia can and will flip statewide seats from red to blue.
And Trump is aware of this, because if there is anybody who looks at the polls more closely than him, we don't know who it is. On Truth Social, he posted on the governor's races, calling the Democrats 2 losers, going on to say, "You will rue the day that you voted to destroy your life." Now, the person that Trump, of course, is most obsessed with, though, is not on those gubernatorial races. It is the mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani. And Trump just attacked him moments ago, endorsing, actually, the now formally the independent candidate, former Democrat, Andrew Cuomo. Trump saying in part, quote, "I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You have to vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not." And here's more of what Trump said last night on 60 Minutes.
What if Mamdani becomes mayor?
It's going to be hard for me as the president to give a lot of money to New York because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. So I don't know that he's won, and I'm not a fan of Cuomo one way or the other, but if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time, to be honest with you.
Jeff Zeleny is out front to begin our coverage here of these 3 major races. He is in Virginia with the Spanberger campaign. I want to begin, though, with John Berman in New Jersey with the Sherrill campaign. And John, you know, that race has been really down to the wire. Cheryl has had a whole lot of problems, but now trying to seize momentum in these final hours. Does she have it?
They certainly hope so, Aaron. And the Cheryl campaign is pointing to the early vote turnout as something that they believe shows that things are trending their way. They say they have banked an advantage of about 290,000 early in-person votes and mail-in votes over 9 days of in-person early voting that just ended yesterday. 4 years ago, Democrats enjoyed just an advantage of 260,000 votes. That was a race that Democrats won by just 3 points. The Cheryl campaign says they're doing better this time, so that points to higher enthusiasm. This rally here is in Montclair, New Jersey. This is Mikey Cheryl's hometown. She's been elected to Congress 4 times here. This is a town, this is a county that she'll need to do very well to overperform in order to have the election night that she wants. This crowd right here is filled with a lot of people, a lot of women. I was speaking to one Democratic insider who told me that angry suburban mothers might be the most powerful force in the election in the state this year. And Kenita Iyer, a CNN digital reporter who's doing great work sort of live logging this event right here, has been talking to voters, and some of them have been telling her that women's issues are front and center in this campaign. That's what matters most to them. Now, history is a little bit of a problem for Mikey Sherrill here. Not since the 1960s has one party held the governor's mansion for 3 consecutive terms. Democrats have been in there for 8 years now. Governor Phil Murphy, if Mikey Sherrill wins, that'd be the first time since the 1960s that one party held it for 3 consecutive terms. They're hoping to buck history. They're hoping to buck some trends that have brought New Jersey from a blue state to more purple, and they're hoping for a big Democratic turnout tomorrow. Aaron?
Right, which is interesting, you know, given what she said, right, saying that it's a blue state, not a purple state, but as you indicate, when it comes to the governor's mansion, plenty of Republicans over history in the state of New Jersey. John Berman, thank you very much. And let's go as promised to Jeff Zeleny. Jeff, in Virginia, Trump calls Spanberger and also Sherrill in New Jersey losers. So, I mean, at this point, is that something that just helps Spanberger?
Well, look, Aaron, I mean, there is no question that Abigail Spanberger believes that the voters tomorrow in Virginia will respond to President Trump in kind. There is no doubt that this campaign here in Virginia, as well as in New Jersey, has emerged as something of a referendum on the Trump administration, the Trump policies, the actions of the first 9 or 10 months in office. And of course, Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey and Abigail Spanberger here in Virginia were part of that blue wave back in 2018. They were part of the blue Democratic resistance, if you will. We will see if that happens again tomorrow. But talking to voters here in Virginia, there is no doubt one person above all is motivating them, and that is Donald Trump.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff Zeleny.
We're seeing like the chaos that's going on with the president. We just want real change and make sure that Virginia's protected from it.
We need new leadership, and we're on the hunt for that. And hope Abigail can start us off. This is what we need. I'm ready for it.
I think we have to send a message to Washington that the Republic is important, and there are people here who want to protect the Republic from authoritarian movements.
So look, across the board, Virginia voters, some 1.4 million have already cast early ballots. Many of the Democrats certainly are wanting to send a message to Donald Trump. But the change argument is a different one here because Abigail Spanberger is running to replace Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin. President Trump right this moment is speaking to Virginia Republicans, but it's in a telephone rally. He's trying to urge some of them to come to the polls tomorrow. But Aaron, there's confidence here among Democrats.
And we don't even have to put that in there. We got ground.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff Zeleny, and everyone's here with me now. So, Van, when you're looking at 3 for 3, and I mean, I think the context matters here. I mean, you look at New Jersey, where Mikey Sherrill has faced a lot of challenges, right, and questions about graduation, Naval Academy, all that sort of stuff. She's powered through it, it seems, but she would be the one bucking history if she were to win tomorrow as opposed to a Republican. So, are they going to go 3 for 3 for Democrats?
I think so. She's facing more headwinds than everybody else, but I think you've got a lot of disgust, not frustration, disgust at the grassroots level of what Donald Trump has been doing. These ICE raids have really shocked people to see just ordinary people thrown to the ground, the women, children. So there is a pent up desire to send a message, and so you don't have to be a perfect candidate right now. There's a perfect storm brewing. I think it's going to push the Democrats across the finish line.
Okay, and I'm curious, as there's so much stuff about the mayor's race in New York, which you have done incredible work on. I mean, you have been in it, and the level of granularity. So let me just ask you, when Trump comes out and says, you know, basically endorsing Andrew Cuomo.
You don't have to do that.
A lot of people I saw on social media said, oh, that is the worst thing that could possibly happen for Andrew Cuomo. But then there's another way of looking at it, which is maybe who he's talking to is the voters, the 15% of voters in New York, who are still saying they're going to vote for the Republicans. And maybe the Democrats are going to do whatever they're going to do about Cuomo. But the number, if Cuomo's going to pull off a miracle, is going to come from Curtis Sliwa.
It is. And moderates.
You can put some Italian sausage in there.
Listen,
Eat straight up like
been covering this race, as you say, and I can't name how many guests come on.
Just let me
Experts, analysts say if Donald Trump doesn't want Mamdani to win, he should endorse Mamdani. That's how unpopular Donald Trump is in New York City. So his endorsement of Cuomo is really great for Zoran Mamdani. Yeah. And it's great for all the reasons. It ties, you know, if you think of Andrew Cuomo as a corrupt, you know, politician, it ties into another corrupt politician, you know, Donald Trump. I mean, it does all the things. I think Andrew Cuomo is very lucky that Donald Trump waited this long to endorse Andrew Cuomo.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. Doesn't at this point what matters? I mean, even if Sliwa were to get out of the race tonight, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I think it's clear that Mamdani's going to win.
Yep.
And I think it's clear that Democrats actually need to learn something from what Zoran Mamdani did here. He has energized young people to come out and vote. Let's not forget, in 2024, young people swung to the right hard. He has brought them back into the fold. He has run a campaign that has been very, very targeted on affordability. Listen, at the end of the day, one thing that every American understands right now is this economy is hot, flaming garbage. I mean, it just is. Things are unaffordable. People feel like they can't get jobs. And so with him just talking about this incessantly with a very simple message, he has 3 things that he's promising. People understand what those things are. And so he's really been able to break through.
Does this bring young people back? I mean, because you do keep hearing about, because of whatever it is, the woke factor, DEI, that there had been this shift among young people, and we saw it in the numbers to the right. Does this really turn that around?
Well, it will in some places. Look, Mamdani also had the greatest co-chair for his campaign, Cuomo himself, who ran the worst campaign of the century. If it turns out that Mamdani paid Cuomo to run the campaign he
ran, that's a conspiracy theory you'll buy into.
I'll buy into that because it is hard to run a campaign.
It's barely a campaign.
I mean, if he was running to be the king of cringe, Cuomo would win in a romp. And so it's a combination of the worst of the establishment against this kind of rising tide among people who are just seeking change and looking for hope. Basically, you had Cuomo running a fear campaign. It dipped over into, frankly, racism and kind of anti-Muslim hysteria, which was not necessary. And it left, when you dogpile Donald Trump, it kind of made him a martyr among some. The dogpiling of Mamdani from the establishment has done the same thing for Mamdani. I think the Cuomo campaign should get a ribbon for the service that they did for Mamdani.
There was also, I think, a sense among a lot of voters that I talked to that Andrew Cuomo was, there was a bit of entitlement in this campaign. He didn't want to be doing this, right? He had his eye on the presidency.
Yeah.
This is a default. He's running by default.
Like, I'm settling for mayor of New York.
Aiming to run for mayor of New York City, which in some people's eyes is the greatest job in the world, right? He's deigning to do it. Voters felt that. They felt that in his lack of campaigning through the primary, and then when he was beat by Mamdani, they felt it after, and his weird pivots and trying to kind of throw things at the kitchen sink. They felt that. They felt like, well, do you even want this? Or is this just your last attempt at holding on to political power?
Could there be a surprise tomorrow in any of these races? Are you looking for anything?
I mean, New Jersey, I think, is the closest, and I think it's going to tell us the most, because, again, affordability is really a big issue in New Jersey. We're talking about property taxes. We're also talking about how education is funded in that state, and so there's a lot of dissatisfaction there with the Democratic Party. So it's not it's not so easy. You know, we're talking about definitely Donald Trump being on the ballot, but let's not forget that Democrats also have struggled. They have a lot of issues that they have had to deal with. Their messaging has been a mess. They have struggled to kind of come up with, something that is not anti-Trump, that is a positive message. And so, we'll see what the margins are. But I do think that this might be a
just turn around the narrative of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries wandering around in the desert.
Look, it might. Listen, we're still less than a year out from a pretty bad butt kicking, and so it takes a party a chance to turn around. And I do want to point out that there are people in New York City who are terrified about Mamdani coming in.
Yes.
Certainly people on Wall Street do not like the idea of the socialist. There are people in the Jewish community who have a hard time with his the way that he talks leaves people feeling alarmed because he hasn't been as forthright in condemning Hamas. He hasn't really distanced himself.
He's avoided it.
Yeah. So there's things like that. I think tomorrow you're going to see a tale of two cities. You're going to see some people feel very enthusiastic because the establishment got whooped. And there are going to be other people, I think, especially in the Jewish community, who feel very afraid. So the party is still trying to find its way through all of these different thickets and challenges. But I would argue that if tomorrow you have two moderate women who have won against some headwinds and showing one path forward, and then a young upstart showing another path forward, it shows that Democrats have two ways to win. And that's better than it felt a year ago when we had only
zero
ways to lose.
But the Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer of it all is baffling to me. Absolutely baffling, as you've discussed. Democrats have very few bright lights in the party right now. Zoran Mamdani, it's not for me, but he is a bright light in this party. He is packing stadiums. Name another Democrat besides Bernie that can pack a stadium. He's turning out young voters, new voters, first-time voters, East Asian voters, Muslim voters. This guy has figured it out. He has zeroed in on the issues that matter to most people. You should be bear hugging him if I'm a Democrat.
Well, we're all going to be here because it's going to be an exciting 24 hours. There's so many of these. I mean, all the details of what actually pans out from all of the campaigning. You can follow all the results, our special election coverage tomorrow on CNN. I'll be here starting at 5 o'clock Eastern along with our entire